Having claims here, he does have a little bit to prove, just here at the track, the grey with the cheek pieces on. Okay, I can't quite make out who the one behind is. Number 7, I'm hearing, that is Reverberation, who I actually spoke to the connections of earlier on, and they're quite confident of a good run from this 10-year-old, who ran a good race at Chelmsford in his penultimate start to finish 3rd. That was over further, but he was too keen over this trip back there last time. And although he's on a good mark on his very old form, the percentage call is to oppose. Behind him is number 9. That is Dorado, looking to give David Probert a quick double on the card. Now an 11-year-old in his last 2 efforts, when finishing 10th here and at Bath, leaving with a lot to find. He used to be rated in the 80s and is now down to a career low mark of 48, so that really does say it all. Behind him, that's number 11, that is Door's Delight, this daughter of Havana Grey. A tongue tie and a hood worked well at Chelmsford before Christmas when she finished 3rd, but she was well beaten again last time. Behind her is number 2, that is River Wharf. I think this one's got a chance. Rarely runs a bad race, and after a couple of recent placed efforts, he won in a higher grade at Wolverhampton last week. And that effort can be marked up, as he raced wide for much of the way, but still won emphatically. Carries a £4 penalty now, and Molly Gunn is once again up top, as she was last time. Behind that one is John Jenkins's No News. Won twice over 7 furlongs, this time last year, and apart from a decent 3rd at Lingfield back in September, he's been very quiet since. Has become very well treated now, but he needs to bounce back, and I'm not sure he's so adept over this Smile trip as he is over 7 furlongs. Right, I'm going to leave it there. That's most of them covered for this pretty competitive handicap, for which Stella Hogan must hold very solid claims of winning once again.
Once again, their third race is coming up. We had a favourite turned over in our last. Charlie Appleby trained favourite beaten. Let's see what happens in this 3:05. This is a handicap over a mile. Stella Hogan is 10 to 11, 4 to 1. Here at the track, Sold the Dream 9 to 2, and it is 6 to 1. River Wharf. Villa Lobo is 22 to 1. Reverberation 25s, 28s, and bigger the rest. What do you like here, George?
Boringly, Angus. Stella Hogan, I thought she did very well the other day to win from her track position. She just travelled very strongly under Jason Watson. Has only been with Mick Appleby for 3 starts to date, and he's been learning about her, and she really showed herself to good effect last time. Obviously, she's penalised for that victory. We'll know tomorrow when she's been reassessed what she's going to go up, but the way she cut through the field from nearly last place to nearly hitting the front, she just did things so smoothly, and I think she's well ahead of her mark. So if she can not be slowly away, which she has done in the past, in a race with a couple of non-runners in it, 9 runners now, not be too far away out of her ground, I think she's on an upward curve, and she's obviously able to stay on this level for a fraction longer. Yeah,
they changed it up as far as headgear were concerned. They went back to cheek pieces, didn't they? And they put a hood on.
Yeah, they've obviously been tweaking the headgear combination with that. But she just, the way she cut through that field, she beat Cherry King a length, and I felt when she got to the front, she wasn't idling at all, but just doing enough to keep Jason Watson happy. I think she's probably a good bit ahead of her mark. But there's a couple in it you can make a case for. I thought Sold the Dream, who I haven't seen for 75 days, that last start, on second start for Michael Madrick's team since leaving Charlie Hills, travelled like a really well handicapped gelding and probably hit the front too soon on that occasion. Slight concern, he hasn't been seen for a little while, but that was a good run in a steadily run race. He was well positioned, but he sort of travelled like a horse who's well ahead of his mark also. But I just think Stella Hogan, she's looks to be ahead of her mark, and a quick turnaround 5 days since that victory. Over course and distance, when winning pretty smoothly, beating Cherry King, she's going to be very difficult to beat.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree with that. I think even under a £5 penalty, I think she's going to be tough to beat. Don't mind if they drop her out. They obviously put the hood on for a reason. They want to settle her. They want to get her to, to travel kindly and then come home strongly. And that's exactly, it worked the Oracle last time, didn't it? And if it works again, I can see her being very, very tough to beat.
I agree, and I think stall 2's a plus. I think it gives Jason Watson, hopefully he can just get in on the rail, wait for the intersection to open up and look for his run when it opens up on a filly. On a mare, he knows he's got to turn a foot to get him out of trouble when he needs it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's undoubtedly the one to beat, the head of the fairs, and she's not been long with the Mick Appleby yard, and once he gets them on a roll and he gets them winning and finds the key to them, then they tend to go on improving, and she's only off a lowly mark of 57. So probably going to be tough to run down here. But the selection of myself and George here in the studio. Let's see what Tom thinks as we go back to the track just before the off here at Kempton.
Yeah, thanks, Angus. I'm very much in agreement with you both. I think Stella Hogan is going to take some beating here. It was the way that she won last time, really, that I think was most impressive. She was held up towards the rear, but made up bags of ground very quickly indeed. Hit the front and saw off a pretty informed rival in Cherry King, who has finished second a few times, but had the form in the book to run well. And Stella Hogan really did breeze on by, which I thought was a really nice effort, and looks a shrewd purchase for the horse watchers and for Mick Appleby. Had the 3 starts, of course, for the team now, and actually was sent off favourites on the first 2 of those. Not so last time, but did actually win last time, and of course now is 6 to 5 on favourites. Jason Watson in the plate. Here at the track, just having a think about going into the stalls. Second in the market. He's got the blindfold on. His 2 wins so far in his career have both come in classified companies. Never actually won a handicap. And although he's been in decent enough nick recently with a 3rd last time that was more than creditable, that came at Wolverhampton, and he runs well on the poly track too. I just feel with that record, this time in a handicap, you'd have to be a little bit discouraged, wouldn't you, really? And he's having a long think about going into the stalls. He's got enough experience in doing so, but doesn't look like he wants to know too much about it at the moment. The one that I thought might be the biggest danger to Stella Hogan is River Wharf. Molly Gunn rode this one to victory last time out. That came a week ago, and she takes the ride again. Not got the greatest stall, drawn in 10. But the son of showcasing, now a 7-year-old, was really quite emphatic when winning last time. And it was not an easy run through the race for him. He had to go wide around the turn and make his ground up, giving lengths away. But he's still power clear in the closing stages. And that was a really good effort in the context of a race such as this one. And he's been pretty consistent, but that was much more like it last time, I thought. And if repeating that on the polytrack today rather than on the Tappiter, I'd like to think River Wolf is going to run a big race here. And Molly Gunn does seem to get on well with him. So I think he could put it up to Stella Hogan, but I think she'll win, given the fact she still looks well treated off that £5 penalty. I think she'll be rated higher than that in the future, and possibly a good bit higher, given how well she won here last time, as I was saying. Of the others, I like Sold the Dream too. I think he's got a future for sure. He was sent off favourite last time out at 5-2 when he was second of 14, the handicap at this course and distance. That came just over 2 months ago, but he was always in quite a good position that day, I thought, and had the run of the race in a way. So I think he'll need to improve again. But it is still early days with him. He's still quite lightly raced, and Michael Madrick is starting to get the best out of him, it seems. So I couldn't discount him at all, particularly as he's run well at this track in the past too. Right, the first two in the market are the first two into the stalls, but they've been fairly long about doing so. Stella Hogan, though, is now in alongside here at the track, which is good to see. River Wolf, as I say, is my selection up against the favourite, if there is one, to beat it. No News is worth a shout here for Paddy Bradley and John Jenkins. This is a horse who was twice a winner this time last year, over 7 furlongs at this track, and he's become really well handicapped now. The trouble is he's not in particularly good form, but given the fact that he wasn't in particularly good form before he won both his races last year, it would be no surprise to see him bounce out of the blue and win. I think my biggest concern with him, as I say, he has become well treated, is the fact that he's running over a mile here, and I think he might just be better suited to the 7 furlong distance than this extra yardage. Reverberation, I was talking to the connections of Reverberation a little bit earlier on, and they're quite confident of a big run from this 10-year-old who has tumbled down the weights, but they say there was a little bit more encouragement last time to Big Leans. He's been working well at home, and they're excited and hopeful for a big run, the Pat Murphy team. Ethan Jones taking a 5 off, which is very helpful aboard Reverberation. Another one, just having a think about going into the stalls. It's the theme here, isn't it? Sold the Dream has got the blindfold on. It's the 3 who are most fancied in the market, who are all having a think about going in. Sold the Dream is now second favourite, and River Wolf is third in. So here at the track has been drifting a bit, around about 11-2 years now. So a bit of a drift on the horse who took longest to go into the stalls. That said, Sold the Dream is vying for that prize at the moment. William Carson doing his best aboard that one. Villa Lobos is interesting enough as well, I thought. Number 5 for Adam Farraher and Simon Hodgson was last seen successful. That came back in August at Salisbury. Not as good last time at Lingfield, but the visor does go back on today, and he's on a decent mark as well. I don't think he can be completely discounted, Villa Lobos, given the fact that he is well treated, and his best form recently was as recent as the late summer in August. So you'd have to go too far back, trawl back through the annals, do you, to find some decent form for Villa Lobos. And yeah, maybe the visor back on is going to have a good effect, a good impact. Adam Farraher was just out of luck in our first race aboard Pure Angel. Couldn't quite get to the winner there, but he rides Villa Lobos in this contest. Dorado, bidden to give David Probert a double. This is one that's just getting a little bit het up in the parade ring, actually. Dorado nearly went into the crowd at one stage. So that's just worth taking note of in David Probert's bid for that quick double. But a horse who's now 11 and needs to bounce back from recent outings. But did run quite well, actually. 3 starts ago. That was when second. And has won over course and distance in the past too. So Dorado, if he's behaving himself in the race itself, unlike in the parade ring, then he can be given a chance. Stores Delight, I think, the other one I haven't mentioned, number 11 down the bottom of the weight, she needs to really improve. It was a poor effort last time, I thought, and although she is becoming well handicapped herself, that is for a reason, as we see Stella Hogan shorten into 4-5 favourite. Now, William Carson has just jumped off Sold the Dream, and he's going to let them go. Here's John.
not with them. So they're off and racing. They've gone without Sold the Dream, who would not go into the starting stalls. Villa Lobos is the first one to show, and they've got themselves pretty well strung out in the early stages. Villa Lobos going 3 lengths clear from No News, who's a length and a half in front of Reverberation in 3rd place. Dorado's a similar distance back in 4th, then another 1 length gap to Heerathetrack. Stella Hogan's one of the back markers with Doors Delight. And also towards the rear of the field is River Wharf, arguably last of all. Villa Lobos then, with the field on the stretch, heads with a clear lead towards the end of the back straight in this racingtv.com handicap. Villa Lobos still enjoys a 3 to maybe 4 length advantage now over No News in 2nd place. Dorado makes the turn past the half-mile marker, sharing 3rd place together with Reverberation on the inside. Stella Hogan now just creeping a little bit closer, ahead of Heerathetrack, who's in 6th place, and then River Wharf and Doors Delight at the back end of the field. Turning in and straightening up, Villa Lobos then, trying to maintain this lead, 2.5 to run from No News in 2nd place. Pushed along to the outside is Dorado, likewise Reverberation to the far side. Villa Lobos now coming under pressure, but still has a very decent lead over the field. Stella Hogan's being produced now and starting to stay on with Heerathetrack. Villa Lobos still the one to catch. Stella Hogan is trying to cut him down, but the gap is still 2 lengths. 50 metres left to go, all the way for Villa Lobos. Villa Lobos beats Stella Hogan, then Heerathetrack and Reverberation.
Villa Lobos, given a really good ride there from Adam Farah, who's won better than he did in the first race on the card, has seen them all off, but I'm not sure that Jason Watson is going to be particularly happy with that ride, looking back on it aboard Stella Hogan. He was waiting for a long time before he made the challenge. I think he probably thought that Villa Lobos was going to get fatigued in the closing stages, but he didn't. He kept on powering home. And although Stella Hogan made up a fair bit of late ground, it was that little bit too late. She travelled into the race really well, as she did last time out at this track. But the winner had flown, and she couldn't quite peg him back. At this Class 6 level, you're not going to get a turn of foot that is instantaneous. You're not going to get that potent turn of pace that you get at a higher level. And Stella Hogan, although she did make headway into the leader, made some inroads. You can see the cheek-pieced and hooded head of her about to make her challenge now through rivals. Jason Watson just sitting there very quietly and still won't make his move. At this point, we've got just over a furlong to go, and he finally starts to chivvy along and then gets more serious and then sees that time is running out. And time has run out at this point. Half a furlong to go, 50 yards to go. Villa Lobos keeps that length and a half distance at the line and has won well. He had become quite well treated and wins for the first time since he scored back in Salisbury in August. But all about the waiting ride, really, of the second there, and Jason Watson just biding his time. But he bade his time for too long, really, didn't he? He was just so confident aboard this horse who couldn't peg back that leader, Villa Lobos. And if you give a horse who's well treated a lead like that, and I'm not just saying it was Jason Watson, it was all the horses in the race, really, particularly those Jason Watson and also Tyler Hurd, who was on the far side and here at the track. He didn't let himself down for a while either, didn't let the horse down. He was very willing to let the leader go before he made his challenge. Well, they've not seen which way he's gone. 25 to 1 he's returned here. Adam Farah for Simon Hodgson. And although it was a bit of a bolt from the blue, he had the form to win this. And you don't have to go too far back, do you, to August to get that winning form in the book. And he's won well on the polytrack in the past. And although he's been a little bit out of form, the visor was back on today, and perhaps that's made all the difference. And the fact they've really gone forward